Hello, dear viewers. I would like to share with you an interesting gambit in the mainline Slav defense. So let's see. d4, d5, c4, c6. This is the so-called Slav defense. And now, after knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, dc4, this is basically the main line. Most Slav defense games go this way. And then we have a4, bishop f5. These moves have been played in such a manner for the last 100 years or so. And then here comes the moment where usually players choose different moves. But still, e6, bishop c4, knight d7, castles, bishop g6, all standard moves. And now, after queen e2, bishop b4, white has the option to sacrifice the pawn with e4. Now, the pawn is defended 2 times, but it is also attacked 2 times, and one of black's pieces is attacking one of the defenders. So if black wishes so, he can destroy the knight on c3, and then he can actually take with either of his pieces this pawn on e4. Now, is it good? That's another question. But how did I find out about this gambit? Several years ago, I was reading a book about the Zurich 1953 tournament by David Bronstein, and Bronstein was not scarce with the commentary. He explained many moves, many positions, but here he didn't say anything. It was a game by Smyslov, and Smyslov castled, and there was no comments. There was no comment on what happens if black chooses to take the pawn. And I tried to figure it by myself. I remembered that. And I couldn't. Okay, I realized that usually, that not usually, but that white must play bishop a3 to stop black from castling, but it wasn't clear to me what happens here. So I opened the database, and there are some games there, and usually in these games, white wins. Yeah, and some famous grandmasters played this as black, like Belyavsky, Bareyev, and Ben Feingold. These three guys played it 2 times, and they all lost. Yeah, Anand played like this 1 time, and he actually managed to draw. But there are very few games where black wins. So I concluded that this gambit is very dangerous for black. As I mentioned, some grandmasters took this pawn, but very few of them took this pawn also. So if you just take it now, it's really bad. After queen b2, the knight is hit, and this pawn is hit, and black still cannot castle because of this. The end is near. So some of these strong players, they included knight b6, as did my opponent. And after bishop b3, a few of them took, but also it didn't end up well for them. So let's see how I played from here on. Now, I don't know the lines here. Yeah, I just know I have to put the bishop here, and I know that sometimes queen b2 is a strong maneuver. But here it looked like queen b2 doesn't make much sense. Actually, computer says it's the best move. But I didn't know, so I played queen e1. I attacked this knight. What did it do? It retreated. Now I pushed my a pawn, and I forced this other knight to retreat too. So it went to c8 with an obvious idea to block my bishop and maybe castle. So I prepared a little forcing sequence with knight e5, and it's funny that even though this is a blitz game, I somehow managed to find these forcing lines. Maybe because they are really forced. So my plan was that after knight d6, I am just going to turn the tables. From 2 pawns down, I'm going to be up like an exchange or the rook. And this is what I saw, and somehow my opponent played exactly according to my little calculation. Of course, knight e7 was a better move, but still, this is not so great for black, because after bishop d5, you cannot take with this pawn, and if you take with this guy, I can't remember. Oh yeah, queen b4. Yeah, so again, he cannot castle because the knight is hanging. Let's now see what happens on knight d6, which happened in the game. So I started with a6. My idea is to loosen up this point. Black castled, and now after a b7, the rook is attacked. My opponent took on b7. Now I have knight c6. Note that I didn't play these moves like I didn't figure out these moves one by one. This was all part of my plan. When I played knight e5, this is what I intended to do, and somehow it all happened. I don't know, it's 4, 5 moves. You will see now. So the queen is attacked. Yeah, it has to move. It doesn't really matter where it moves, but okay. The opponent played queen b6. And now the knight is hanging, the bishop is hanging, and this one might win my exchange. But okay, I start with bishop d5, solving the problem of my hanging bishop, and also defending my hanging knight. So black takes the bishop. Now I give a check, king goes to the side, and I capture the black bishop that wanted to go to d3 and win some material back. So you see, with these 2-3 moves, white, and that was me, solves all the problems and deals with all black's ideas. And in the end, I will win this knight. Watch it. H takes g6, and now we take the rook. So now we are an exchange up, and we regained one of our pawns. But after queen e7, my opponent just resigned. This guy is hanging, and if it moves, let's say here, to protect the knight, after this move, it's not good. There is a deadly pin here, and after queen c7, white wins more material. Or after queen c6, rook fc1, same story. This guy is dropping. So another option would be to defend the rook, but then simply win the knight b7. So you see, from 2 pawns down, 5 moves ago, white went to almost no pawns down and a rook up. Yeah. Okay, after queen e7, my opponent resigned. Anyways, I think that it is not a good idea to play this gambit as black. I'll just show it briefly, the main position. So the position is this one, yeah? When white plays e4, I don't recommend to take this knight and then capture either way. It's just not good. It's just better to castle and play a normal game. No wonder that Bronstein didn't even make a comment on this move, and that the 7th world champion Smyslov in his games just castled there and didn't take the pawn. There is a reason why these guys did these things the way they did it. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.